Hello, everyone. Welcome to Theo-MathProblemSolver. In this particular episode, I'm so excited to take you through the journey of finding the average value of a function. At this point, if you have not subscribed, please do so. Turn on your notification button so that anytime I release new content, you'll be the first to receive that. Please do like my content, comment, and share this powerful content with your colleagues and loved ones. And let's help demystify the myth around mathematics. Some of the view that mathematics is difficult and it cannot be learned. It's only for the geniuses. But friends, I would want to point out that mathematics can be learned. Mathematics can be learned, and with a good platforms, I believe that math can be made as simple as it should be. So please, let's spread this powerful content with your colleagues and loved ones. Let's help demystify those myths. Okay, thank you so much. And at this point, let's get going. Let's got some before we touch on what we intend to do, at least we need to lay the foundation. So let's get some the definition. Suppose that a function under consideration is a continuous function, okay, over a closed interval, which is a to b, then we claim that the average value over such close interval will be given by this nice, you know, uh, this nice integral. Okay. Very good. Very good. So I'll at this point, what I'll do is I'll take one example so that we can, really understand it better. Okay. So let's get going. So let's cut some example. So let me move this down a bit. Let me move down this one a bit. All right. So let's cut our first example. So example one. So example one. So let me give you a function that probably you may be familiar with already. So if I ask you to find the average value, so I can ask you to find the average value of f of x equal to probably say x to the power squared over the interval, over the closed interval, let's say from 0 to 2. How do we find the average value of this nice function over that close interval? How do we do that? Let me reduce the space a bit so that we can solve more examples. All right, so let's get going. Okay. So it means that our average value, our average according to the formula, our average value would be what? Our average value, okay? So I can say our average value. So I can do this to represent the average. Now, first, let's write down our formula. The formula is what? One out of, the formula is what? One out of what? One out of b minus a, then the integral from over the close interval a to b of f of x dx. Okay, very good. Now, from the question, we see that our a is this is 0 and our b is 2. Okay, and our function is giving us what? X squared. So we just have to plug in, and that will be what we need to do. Okay, so we want to have our b is 2 and our a is 0. Okay, so we have this. Okay. So the next thing to do is that we're going to have half outside. And according to the fundamental theorem of calculus, so this will give us what? X to the power 3 or on 3. Um, um, and then the interval, we cannot put it there. Is that okay? So at the end of the day, you're gonna have what? 2 to the power 3 on 3, okay? Because then the next one will be 0. So our answer will be this, okay? So our answer should be what? Should be 4 out of 3, okay? Very important. So our average value of the function over such interval will be that. But if I were you, just a quick one, you may want to, graph this. You may want to graph this function and see what happens on that in the XY plane. Let's graph it and see the behavior of that graph. This graph will eventually, pass through the origin. So it's important that you indicate that it passed through the origin. Okay. This graph passes through the origin. So we have f of x to pass through the origin. Okay. So since it passes through the origin, now let's see the interval for which it exists. We said the interval is from where 0 to 2. Let's say 2 is here. Okay. On that note, we can extend this a bit. So this is now from what we had what? This can also be written as what? This can also be written as what? 1 out of 1 whole number 1 over 3, right? So which means that if here is 1, no, let me just make it a bit easy. So if here is, let's say, 1, then we claim that the average value would eventually be here, right? So the average value will be here. And if the whole, suppose the whole of this, so the average value, since it is 1 out of 1 whole number 1 over 3, it means that the average value will be here, will be just a bit above the 1 value. Okay. So it means that the whole of this place will be your average value. The whole of this place will be your average value. Okay. The whole of this place will be your average value from the whole of this will be your average value. Is that okay? So this is your average value. Okay. And then this will be the remaining portion, this will be the remaining portion, of the area. Okay. So this will be the remaining portion of the area. So this will be a remaining area. Okay, very important. So let's take note of that. And at this point, if you have not subscribed, please do so. Like my content, comment, help spread this good news to your colleagues, your loved ones. Let's help demystify the myth around mathematics. Some of the view that mathematics cannot be learned and it is difficult and it's just so, hectic and all of that. But friends, mathematics can be learned. And with good platforms, might should be made easy. Okay, so let's keep spread this powerful news and all of that. Okay, so let's look at one more example. So let's look at the example 2. Now let me bring you to a more practical example. All right, now everybody is familiar with temperature, so I think this question will be of interest to so many of you. Now, we are trying to address this nice problem. Okay, it says that the problem says that that the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit in Arizona. I think this has to be. I think the question should have been in Arizona's. Let me take care of Arizona. Let me get rid of Arizona. The temperature in Alaska there is modeled by this particular function, okay? So our function is this. Now, where x is the number of hours from midnight, okay? So which means that our function is bounded by 0 and 24, okay? So the minimum hours is 0, and then the maximum hours should be 24, okay? And of which that's the missing in we have 24 hours in a day, right? Very important. Let's take note. Now, how do we find the average temperature in Alaska during this 24-hour period? Okay, so you see how mathematics is deployed to solve real world situations. So it's just interesting how we can use the tools, okay, to solve practical problems, okay? Very important. So let's see how we can solve the average temperature. Now, the average temperature, since we kind of know the formula, we just have to do, leverage that to solve that. So the average formula we know is what 1 over hot b minus a, the integral over the closed interval, this, right? Now, from the question, from the given problem, our A is what? Is 0, and our B is what? 24. So on that note, we're going to have what? 1 out of 24 minus 0. So then the integral is bounded by 0 and 24. And our function is what? And our function is this, okay? Now our function is what? Negative point 0.012 x to the power 3 plus 0.38 x to the power 2 minus 1.99x minus 10.1. Okay, the x here, very important. So let's take note of that. Now, so when you simplify this a bit, you should have what? Now, when you integrate this, we don't have to simplify this, already simplified. So when we integrate this, what do we get? So when we integrate this, so we said increase the power by 1. So the integral of the power function, as we learned the last time, we increase the power by 1, then divided by the increased power, okay? So by using that technique, you should have something as this, okay? So we increase the power by 1, okay? And divided by the increased power. Okay. Now, when you perform at this point, we are now familiar with everything. Now, when you perform your arithmetic, you should be able to have negative 2.5. So what does this mean? This means that so the average temperature is approximately, negative 2.5 degrees, Fahrenheit. Okay, degrees Fahrenheit. And at this point, if you have not subscribed, please do so. Like my content, turn on your notification button so that anytime I release new content, you'll be the first to receive that. Please let's do share, spread this good news to your colleagues, your loved ones. Let's help, demystify the myth around mathematics. Stay blessed.